Hello,
I'm listening.
everyone. Assalamu alaikum to all, and welcome back with another amazing episode of the Future Jobs podcast show. I'm your host, Fahad Jobswala, and I'm student and interview captain at Rehan School Online Academy. Turning on today is Gustavo A. Montero. Gustavo A. Montero is a global finance leader, fintech visionary, and founder of the Carter Capital. With over 30 years of experience across banking, crypto, and digital innovation. A Swiss trained engineer with an MBA and MSc, he's advised major banks, led impact investment initiatives, and authored a digital innovation law proposal for Chile's constitutional reform. Known for his work in blockchain, DeFi, and tokenized assets, Gustavo is a sought-after speaker at global events from AIBC to the Cardano Summit. Fluent in five languages, he bridges international finance with emerging tech to shape the future of decentralized systems. Hey Gustavo, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Fahad. Very good. I'm doing well. Great. Thank you.
Thanks for giving me a precious and valuable time for the podcast. And I'm very excited to get to know more about yourself and about your journey. So could you tell us about your story?
All right. So I said I'm an engineer by training that essentially left engineering quite early in my life. I've done a number of things before getting into finance. I had the possibility of being trained by Price Waterhouse in Geneva, and then I was asked to be the first head of Standard Chartered Bank in Switzerland. I opened the bank from zero, and then I went to the board of directors of a small bank in Lugano, Switzerland, called Kramer Bank. And from there, a bit over 10 years ago, I went into digital finance, and I've been in digital finance for a bit over 10 years, mostly on decentralized finance.
That's really uh, wonderful, your career. And another thing, you like fluent five languages, So is that your own interest, like, or what is that behind?
No, it's just that I have a background from parents that spoke Spanish, and then and French at the beginning. Then I went to university in the U.S., so which made then English my third real language. And then I had my first job as an engineer was with FAO in Roma, the United Nations in Rome. And then when I was a banker, I had to my main markets were part of the Lusophone community. That meant Portugal, Mozambique, Angola, etc., where Portuguese is the main speaking language. So that made me a polyglot, I suppose, if you can call it that, simply because of exposure via studies and life and then work, which made me speak five languages fluently. Yeah.
So you've led in both traditional banking and digital finance. What was the pivotal moment that shifted your focus toward blockchain and DeFi?
Well, yeah, you're right. I come from the traditional finance environment. I was a banker, I was an auditor in the past. But don't forget that I'm an engineer by training. So for me, around 10 years ago, when decentralized finance, blockchain, AI, and other technologies that are, they're not new, these technologies, but they've been, they actually grown a lot very fast in the last 10 years, mostly because of the capacity we have with computers, is the computing, the processing capacity that we have that's made blockchain, AI, etc., to grow so fast. So I identified this a bit over 10 years ago, and I left traditional finance to go into what we call broadly digital finance, which is I would say, is a very natural step for an engineer.
Exactly. So you're engineer by trading,
Could you say that again?
Okay, had a bad breakup. Okay. So, what major flaw do you believe exists in the current global financial system, and how can decentralized technologies correct it?
Well, in order to understand that, you have to understand the evolution of money. Very simple. I also teach at a few universities, and I'm currently the director of the incubator at Canadian University Dubai. So I normally teach in MBA schools, etc. And the way to understand what's happening with decentralized finance has to do with understanding money. You know, so when the human being first started trading anything, so the cave time, our ancestors, they used barter as a main way of trading. They were trading cows for camels or whatever, right? So money evolved. Then we started using gold as a way of transacting value, but it was difficult to carry gold because gold is heavy and it's also very dangerous to carry gold with you. So the Chinese, a number of years ago, started to issue paper notes against actually the gold, and that became money the way we know it today. Eventually, we started using credit cards, what we call plastic money. And then eventually, a number of years ago, which I would call it in excess of 10 years, but that's debatable. People will say anything. Um, we started then working on the new ways, new money. Um, yeah, issuing. We issued new money, and that is digital money, which we call then cryptocurrencies today. So the way to understand this is really an evolution of money. As a matter of fact, if you look at the that evolution of money, it's possible that in the future cryptos will be something of the past. I mean, in the future, not in the immediate future, but maybe 50 years from now that we will have a different kind of money that we don't know anything about it right now, and mostly we will use a different way of transacting value. So it's that's the way you understand that, and for me as an engineer is just a natural step to go into digital forms of transacting value.
Wonderful. The way to understand about the crypto trading is to understand the evolution of money. Know,
Correct, correct,
it's basically the part of it.
correct.
And as you mentioned, after probably 50 years from now, or maybe more than that, we will maybe don't know about the crypto trading. There will be something
Yeah,
else.
you have to realize that
So the
you have to realize that
yeah,
we're entering into, not immediately, but we will be entering into the era of quantum computing, right? So you have to realize that everything we do right now in terms of trading value, whatever has value, particularly in the internet, is presented in a binary form. It's 0110. It's binary, all right? Very simple to understand. When you use quantum computing, you're no longer in a binary system. You're in a system which is third, another one. And that will obviously will change the way in which we trade value, in which we issue money the way we understand it today.
exactly. How do you differentiate between hype and true innovation when evaluating emerging technologies and fintech?
Will you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How do you differentiate between hype and true innovation when evaluating emerging technologies and fintech.
Well, so the question is how to really, in reality, how do we look into innovation? That's what you're asking, right? And that innovation linked to fintech. Again, innovation, and I work a lot of innovation, particularly in the university where I'm the director right now of the incubator. So innovation is really an action, an activity, which is particular to the human being. We all innovators by nature. So we've been innovating all our lives. I mean, if you think about something that will be old to a lot of people here, not so much to me because I'm not a young guy, but if you think about the moment we left using horses and we got into cars that had engines, right? That was innovation in itself. The moment we started flying airplanes around 100 years ago, more or less, that's innovation itself. So we've been innovating all the time. Now, the innovation that we have right now that you're referring to in fintech, as I said, is a product, is a byproduct of computer science, right? Is computer science what has brought this new type of innovation? Again, it's because of the capacity to have, we have to process data, right? You have to realize that in the past, if you look at money, remember we spoke about evolution of money. In the past, if you look at money, money was at one point in time just a piece of paper, right? But eventually, someone came up with the idea to represent that piece of paper by a series of equations or one equation. Say a dollar is represented by really a set of computer instructions in a computer, right? That's a dollar, right? So that's where the innovation that you're talking about called fintech, financial technology. Fintech is financial technology. Fintech is nothing more than the use of high power computer processing capabilities we have in order to represent units of value, which was money the way we understood a dollar or a euro, and now is crypto. That is what fintech is all about.
Wonderful. So, from your perspective, what's the most misunderstood aspect of digital assets among institutional investors?
The most misunderstood part of institutional investors in the new technologies, are you saying?
Yeah,
Well, I think that, again, I go back to a little bit to what I said before. I think the most misunderstood part is the fact that people do not understand the evolution of money, right? The fact that we have now cryptocurrencies in the market is just a natural thing, very, very natural, right? And the way to prove that is very, very simple. Young people like you, for instance, you guys grew up, or my daughter who's 18 years old, you guys grew up with computers, tablets, iPhones, or cell phones, whatever, smartphones you call them. So for you, people your age, using those technological supports as a way of, as a vehicle to transferring value is a natural thing, right? So when you say what's misunderstood, is exactly that. Is the fact that there is a generational gap right now. I am a guy that has been around technology for many, many years. As an engineer and as an ex-banker, etc. For me, it's very natural to understand that. But a lot of people my age or my generation do not understand anything about what's going on with money right now, right? Even more, a lot of people my generation do not even know how to operate an iPhone correctly. You know, they just you're scratching the surface. Basically, they're just using a smartphone for the two or three basic functions when there is a thousand functions in a smartphone. All right. So it's really the misunderstanding or the gap is on the way in which we understand and we use technology. And that technology now goes into what you call fintech, financial technology. So it's really a generational gap. But you will see that when guys like me will be dead, people my age will be gone, young people like you will come into the market. You're the next generation of workers. And for you, it would be very natural to deal with financial technology. It's a natural thing because for you, it's easy to understand the fact that, when you were growing up and you wanted to play games, you're gone now. I cannot see you. You're absolutely gone. Hello? Hello? And it's not me. Full, right? All right, so I'm just gonna go off and connect myself. Fahad, hello, 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 Fahad. Okay, hello, hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Fahad, we're coming close to the 30 minutes. You have to ask me the last question.
Sorry.
We're coming close to the 30 minutes. You have to ask me the last question.
So, you have, do you have 5 minutes?
Yeah, I have 5 minutes. Why don't you finish this in 5 minutes? You do it now because you're losing your signal. So your signal is going to be gone soon again.
Okay. Let me ask. So, you've spoken at major summits across the world. What global trends are you seeing?
You're asking for global trends. Fahad, you went off again. I think your signal is very, very bad, very poor. Hello? You're frozen, Fahad. All right. Are you? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, I can. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, Fahad? Can you hear me? Hello? Fahad, your signal is gone. Hello? Where are you calling from, Fahad? Which country? Hello? Hello? Fahad? Okay. I cannot hear you no longer, Fahad. Hello? Okay. Sorry, I have to go. Jaline, c'est bon, on peut aller, hein? Okay.